Why didn't Democrats drop the Epstein bomb on Trump when they had the chance? 4 years, full control, and still, nothing. What gives? Alright, let's get real. If there was a smoking gun linking Trump to Epstein, why didn't Democrats use it? They had the files, the Justice Department, the whole shebang. Garland, Comey, remember those names? Yet after all the noise, zilch. No secret client list, no bombshell documents, just a never-ending echo chamber online. Trump's relationship with Epstein? Messy, inconsistent, sure, but his base can't stop talking about it, so much so that even Trump is telling them to cool it. Meanwhile, the media is busy editing interviews, spinning clips, and everyone's accusing everyone else of a cover-up. So maybe the truth is, boring. If the opposition had real dirt, don't you think we'd have seen it by now? Sometimes the conspiracy is just, well, hot air. Sorry internet, but not every scandal comes with a grand reveal. The term deep state refers to a supposed network of unelected officials and intelligence agents who secretly influence government policy, regardless of which party is in power. While the idea has roots in other countries, it gained traction in the US during Donald Trump's presidency, with claims that entrenched bureaucrats were working to undermine him. Supporters point to leaks and investigations as evidence, while critics argue these are simply the actions of career civil servants upholding the law. The deep state narrative frames a battle between elected leaders and a hidden bureaucracy, but others see it as a way to dismiss legitimate oversight. Ultimately, the debate centers on whether these officials are conspirators or necessary checks on power. This disagreement fuels ongoing controversy over the true nature of government authority. Jeffrey Epstein built a vast network of powerful connections across politics, business, academia, and entertainment. His ties included Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, and prominent figures from elite institutions. These relationships gave Epstein legitimacy and shielded him from scrutiny for years. Clinton's documented flights on Epstein's jet and Prince Andrew's scandal drew intense public attention. Trump was also part of Epstein's social circle in the 1990s and early 2000s, with photos and interviews confirming their association. Epstein's bipartisan reach complicates efforts to assign blame to one side, fueling speculation and political narratives. Untangling these connections requires careful examination, not broad generalizations. As the Epstein scandal resurfaced, a conspiracy theory emerged that the deep state and Democrats used the case to target Donald Trump. The claim is that officials and media selectively highlighted Trump's ties to Epstein while downplaying others, orchestrating a campaign to damage him. This theory spread rapidly online, amplified by sympathetic commentators, and merged existing beliefs about deep state opposition to Trump. It reframes the scandal as a political attack, casting Trump as a victim rather than a participant. This narrative deflects criticism and strengthens loyalty among his supporters. Examining the evidence reveals a more nuanced picture of Trump's connection to Epstein. Trump and Epstein were social acquaintances in the 1990s and early 2000s, but reportedly had a falling out in 2004. Trump later claimed to have banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, a fact corroborated by others. Despite extensive investigations, no credible evidence links Trump to Epstein's sex trafficking crimes. Trump's name appears in flight logs only once, for a business-related trip, not on Epstein's infamous Lolita Express. Victims and employees have not implicated Trump in any illegal activity. High-profile accuser Virginia Giuffre stated under oath she was never directed to have contact with Trump. The available records show a period of friendship followed by estrangement, with no evidence of criminal involvement. This stands in contrast to allegations against other figures such as Prince Andrew. The facts separate rumor from reality in Trump's association with Epstein. Multiple law enforcement agencies, including the Department of Justice, have investigated Epstein's network and associates. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted, but no evidence of wrongdoing by Trump has surfaced in official reports or court documents. Flight logs and pilot testimony do not support claims of Trump's frequent travel with Epstein. After years of investigation under both Trump and Biden administrations, no criminal charges have been filed against Trump in connection with Epstein. Official findings distinguish between social association and criminal complicity. While Trump's past connection is public, there is no evidence of his involvement in Epstein's crimes. This distinction is crucial for a fact-based understanding of the case. The Epstein scandal is used by both political sides to attack opponents. Critics cite Trump's past association as evidence of poor judgment, while his supporters highlight Clinton's deeper ties to deflect blame. This partisan battle often overshadows the real victims and the pursuit of justice. Conspiracy theories like QAnon use Epstein to fuel broader narratives about elite corruption. On the left, Epstein is cited as proof of systemic injustice and the power of the wealthy to evade accountability. The result is a toxic environment where facts are twisted for political gain. The true human cost of Epstein's crimes is often lost amid the noise. The Epstein case highlights the challenge of separating fact from fiction in a polarized media landscape. Distrust in institutions and the viral spread of misinformation make conspiracy theories appealing and hard to debunk. Social media amplifies sensational claims, often outpacing careful reporting. Transparency and rigorous fact-checking are essential for public trust. As consumers, we must question sources, seek evidence, and recognize our own biases. Evidence-based reasoning is vital for justice and democracy. Demanding proof and rejecting speculation is a civic responsibility in the age of misinformation.
The persistent and growing demand for the complete unsealing of the Jeffrey Epstein files represents a critical juncture in the public's relationship with its institutions. This is not merely about morbid curiosity or political theater. It is a fundamental challenge to the secrecy that so often shrouds the actions of the powerful. Citizens are asking a simple yet profound question: who knew, who participated, and who enabled these horrific crimes to persist for so long? The very act of sealing these documents, of keeping names and details hidden from view, feeds a deep-seated suspicion that the justice system is not blind, but selectively shields the wealthy and well-connected from the consequences that ordinary people would undoubtedly face. This call for transparency transcends partisan lines, uniting disparate voices in a shared quest for accountability. When high-ranking officials from across the political spectrum echo the public's demand, it signals a powerful acknowledgement that trust has been severely eroded. The controversy surrounding former President Trump's alleged connections, alongside a vast network of other influential figures, only intensifies the urgency. Releasing the files is thus framed as a necessary purgative, a way to expose the rot within the system and begin the process of rebuilding faith. It is a direct confrontation with the idea that some individuals are too important to be investigated, a notion that is anathema to any functioning democracy. The significance of this push extends far beyond the specifics of the Epstein case itself. It serves as a powerful litmus test for the integrity of the Department of Justice and the broader legal framework. Keeping these records under lock and key is perceived by many as an act of complicity, an institutional effort to protect itself and its allies from embarrassing or incriminating revelations. The victims deserve a full accounting, and the public deserves to understand how such a sophisticated and predatory network was allowed to operate with impunity. Without full disclosure, the shadow of doubt will continue to loom large, poisoning public confidence and ensuring that the true scope of the conspiracy remains buried. Ultimately, the fight to release the Epstein documents is a fight for the principle that justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. The slow, piecemeal release of information only fuels speculation and allows narratives to be controlled and manipulated. A complete, unredacted disclosure is the only path toward a shared, factual understanding of what occurred. This is the cornerstone of accountability. It ensures that the powerful cannot simply wait out the news cycle or rely on institutional inertia to escape scrutiny. The public is making it clear that it will no longer accept a two-tiered system of justice, demanding instead a single standard of transparency for all. A parallel battle for transparency is being waged at the local level, exemplified by the recent move in Jasper County, Missouri, to encrypt police scanner communications. While on the surface, a technical decision about radio frequencies, it strikes at the very heart of public oversight and accountability. For decades, the crackle of the police scanner has been a vital, unfiltered source of information for both the media and concerned citizens. It provides a real-time window into the operations of law enforcement, from mundane traffic stops to major emergencies. Shutting off this access creates an information vacuum, effectively drawing a curtain over police activities and leaving the public in the dark. Law enforcement officials justify this shift by citing the need to protect officer safety and the privacy of individuals. They argue that criminals can exploit open communications to evade capture or ambush officers, and that sensitive personal details of victims and suspects are broadcast indiscriminately. These are not trivial concerns. The goal of safeguarding tactical operations and protecting the dignity of those involved in police incidents is a valid one. However, the proposed solution, a blanket encryption of all traffic, is a blunt instrument that sweeps away decades of established public access in the name of a security that many believe can be achieved through less drastic measures. Critics, including local journalists and citizen watchdog groups, argue that this move dismantles a crucial pillar of accountability. The 2011 Joplin tornado is frequently cited as a prime example of why open scanners are essential. They allowed media outlets to relay critical, life-saving information to the public when other systems failed. By encrypting all communications, law enforcement becomes the sole gatekeeper of information about its own activities. This unilateral control makes it nearly impossible for the public to independently verify official accounts of events, monitor for potential misconduct, or assess the overall effectiveness of police responses in their community. It fosters an environment where trust is expected, not earned through transparency. This debate in Jasper County is a microcosm of a national trend, pitting the state's desire for operational secrecy against the public's fundamental right to know. The core issue is not whether police need security, but whether that security must come at the cost of public oversight. When a government agency that wields the power of force and arrest decides to operate in secrecy, it fundamentally alters its relationship with the people it serves. It moves from being a transparent public service to an opaque, unaccountable entity, creating a climate of suspicion and eroding the very community trust that is essential for effective policing. The conflict over police scanner encryption is not an unsolvable dilemma. There exists a middle ground that can accommodate the legitimate security needs of law enforcement without imposing a total blackout on public information. Proponents of transparency are not absolutists. They readily concede that certain sensitive communications, such as those involving undercover operations, SWAT team maneuvers, or the personal details of a sexual assault victim, warrant protection. The objection is to the all-or-nothing approach of full encryption, which treats a routine fender bender with the same level of secrecy as a high-stakes hostage negotiation, an approach that is both excessive and unnecessary. Several viable alternatives have been proposed that could strike this crucial balance. One popular solution is a system of partial encryption, where police departments maintain open channels for routine dispatch and patrol communications while switching to dedicated, encrypted channels for tactical or sensitive discussions. Another practical option is to implement a time delay, broadcasting the scanner feed to the public on a 15 or 30-minute delay. This simple measure would negate the risk of criminals gaining a real-time tactical advantage while still preserving the media's and the public's ability to monitor police activities for accountability purposes after the immediate danger has passed. Implementing such solutions requires a commitment to dialogue and a willingness from law enforcement to see the public not as an adversary, but as a partner in maintaining a safe and just society. When officials make unilateral decisions to cloak their operations in secrecy, they send a powerful message that they do not trust the public and do not wish to be held accountable by it. This is profoundly damaging to community relations. A transparent process, where alternatives are openly debated and considered, is essential to finding a solution that respects the complex interplay between officer safety, victim privacy, and the public's right to know. Ultimately, the refusal to consider these compromises suggests that the push for encryption may be driven by more than just safety concerns. It often reflects a broader institutional desire to control the narrative and shield itself from scrutiny. True security is built on a foundation of public trust, and that trust can only be sustained through openness. By embracing solutions that allow for oversight, law enforcement agencies can demonstrate their commitment to accountability and strengthen their legitimacy in the eyes of the community they are sworn to protect, proving that safety and transparency are not mutually exclusive goals. The controversies surrounding the Epstein files and police scanner encryption, though different in scale, are rooted in the same fundamental principle: the public's right to hold power to account. In both cases, powerful institutions are seeking to control information, limit scrutiny, and operate beyond the reach of meaningful public oversight. Whether it is the federal justice system concealing the identities of those implicated in a sex trafficking ring, or a local police department silencing its public communications, the underlying effect is the same. It creates a system where citizens are expected to trust blindly, without the ability to independently verify or question the actions of those in authority. This demand for transparency is the lifeblood of a healthy democracy. A government that operates in the shadows is one that is unaccountable to its people, creating fertile ground for abuse, corruption, and the erosion of civil liberties. The decision-making process itself must be transparent, as highlighted by the concerns in Jasper County that the move to encrypt scanners was made without adequate public consultation. When citizens are excluded from conversations about policies that directly affect their safety and their rights, it reinforces the perception of an arrogant and unresponsive government, further deepening the chasm of distrust between the state and its people. The path forward requires a radical shift toward proactive transparency. It is not enough for institutions to release information only when faced with overwhelming public pressure or a court order. They must embrace a culture of openness as a default operating principle. This means engaging in open dialogue, actively seeking community input before implementing major policy changes, and providing clear, compelling justifications whenever secrecy is deemed absolutely necessary. This collaborative approach builds consensus and ensures that policies serve the entire community, not just the interests of the institution implementing them. It is the only way to mend the fractured trust that currently defines so much of the public's relationship with government. Ultimately, these debates are about more than just a set of files or a radio frequency. They are about the kind of society we want to live in. A society where justice is applied equally to all, regardless of wealth or influence, and where those who wield state power are subject to constant and unflinching public scrutiny. The persistent calls for the release of the Epstein files and the resistance to police scanner encryption are powerful assertions of this democratic ideal. They are a declaration that transparency is not a privilege to be granted by the state, but a fundamental right of the people, essential for ensuring that power remains, always, in the service of the public good.
Today, I'm breaking down a new investigation from James O'Keefe that's already making waves in Washington. According to hidden camera footage released this week, undercover reporters spoke with two current CIA operatives who made a startling admission. They say the CIA intentionally withheld key intelligence about threats from the Chinese Communist Party during Donald Trump's presidency. Let's get into what was actually said. In the tapes, the operatives describe a climate of distrust between the intelligence community and President Trump. One source claims there was a deliberate effort to filter information, especially anything related to Chinese espionage or interference, before it ever reached the Oval Office. Why would that happen? Both operatives suggest agency leadership believed Trump might act too aggressively if given the full picture. They say they were told to slow walk certain reports, keeping some details vague or simply omitting them. The implication? That the administration wasn't always making decisions with the most complete intelligence available, especially when it came to China. The interview adds fuel to an already heated debate about the so-called deep state and transparency within U.S. intelligence agencies. Critics argue this kind of internal gatekeeping undermines democracy and puts national security at risk. Others, including some national security experts, warn that the story needs more independent verification and that rushing to judgment based on undercover footage can be risky. The CIA has not responded to these specific claims, but the story is already sparking calls for congressional oversight and a thorough investigation. For now, this exclusive O'Keefe report raises serious questions about how intelligence is shared at the very top, and whether the people elected to make decisions are truly being told everything they need to know. As more details emerge, I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching.